I hope everyone has had a good week and attended the Intangible Cultural Heritage Scotland conference today, and I feel like it's always good to try and capture thoughts and reflections when things are fresh and top of mind. It can be a long day with lots of information and conversations, and yes, impressions come through in the moment, and then sometimes there are anchor points or little words that you bank that kind of depending on how you memorize things, that kind of creates a space in a room in your mind that you can come back to. But we're all really busy, and one day to the next there's a new barrage of information that comes our way. So I always feel like it's good to try and capture the essence of something when you're kind of still swimming in that space. And yeah, there were lots of interesting contributions today, and I suppose I need to loop back to what is my interest, on a personal level, as a practitioner, as a musician, as an artist, but then in terms of this business, as a creative education business, what is our interest in intangible cultural heritage, or the culture and heritage sector? And that is a marketplace and an area that we are really keen to build relationships with and to partner with and do kind of project-based work. As a musician that has got, part of my context, part of my training stems from carried oral tradition and heritage, and swimming in a space where there has been influence and information translated in music and in storytelling. So that is familiar to me, and something that I care about deeply. And also, when you share space with others in community and hear songs and stories, you are painfully aware of the longevity of those, and whether those songs or not are carried forward, whether someone actually passes that on, whether the oral histories are captured. And oral histories is also something that I am personally very interested in, having recently been involved with the voluntary project for the Scottish Glasgow Story Collective, that's it. And also just from conversations with friends and family members about, we really must capture, someone's tales or someone's accounts of environment or just the way of life. So we are swimming in that every day. And, if we're doing that as hobbyists, the time constraints are clear and obvious. Bringing that into what is possible to facilitate as a educational business is that more training can be undertaken and more exploration in that area can happen, inspired or sparked by that personal interest, but then also supported by the infrastructure that you are building and the partnerships and networks that you are trying to expand. So on that thread, I would say True Voice Creations is probably in quite an early stage of network and partnership connection with the culture and heritage sector, but we are really keen to open that door and create that space. And thinking about vocal development, thinking about voice and identity, and thinking about voice and trauma, just to kind of throw those into the ring, these are all areas which really shape a landscape of how we invite somebody into a space to share a story with us, how we do that, how we hold that space, the skills, tools, and knowledge that we have to be able to receive and to resource with capacity to safely create a container for things to emerge that maybe are unplanned or that have a weight to them. They have a significance on an emotional level. It is a physical process of sharing and being present with a body that is a kind of a living memory or puzzle piece of culture. There's the spiritual significance of that as well, and the kind of sensitivity around ritual and practice and tradition, and lots of things that are touched by and impacted by collective cultural trauma. And that area is of particular interest to me, and something that I think we do need to be holding room for conversation about that, because if we're talking about doing work in this area and trying to introduce an approach which is trauma informed, there also needs to be an understanding of when someone is trauma impacted, or when a diaspora or a group of people have experienced cultural trauma, have had disruption to their practice and tradition, there can be lots of complexities with that, in terms of those who are wisdom keepers will often choose not to disclose, or choose to protect and to safeguard and to contain things that are sacred to them, their identity, their family, their community. So to excavate these gifts and bring them into a space of visibility where, others are going to explore those, respond to those as creative artifacts, which comes with a kind of an aesthetic or a lens, as an audience, say. How we bring those things into that space needs to be done with real care and real tending to ensure that there is a respect and a kind of an understanding of the wider complexities, sociocultural sensitivities, and also the politic of that as well. And those things came through for me very strongly today, and I wanted to begin to speak about this with a view really to say, if you are coming across our work and you are working in that sector in any capacity, and you're interested in voice and identity through a kind of vocal development lens, and also through a lens of self-suppression and self-censorship being barriers to being able to bring forward a representation of a shared piece or a contribution or an offering into, into the pot, and kind of gifting that and saying, okay, this is my story, this is my life. I think it's really key, because if we don't create the frameworks to allow those voices to share and to be heard, we are really missing out on an opportunity to tend to collective wounds that need that healing and need that opportunity for release and for acknowledgement. And I say that, from the perspective also of someone who has grown up in an environment where complex dynamics and systems and forces at play have shaped voices in the communities around me, and having an interest in voice means that you are so much more tuned into the nuance of that. So if any of that is of interest, if any of this is kind of sparking ideas for you, and you would like to continue that conversation and pull on that thread, do reach out, get in touch, and be very, very happy to keep exploring that. And it is early days. We've got a lot of work to do, and so that can be equally exciting and frustrating point to be at, just in terms of trying to understand the landscape and understand where the opportunities for crossover and support are. And that is crucial, that we find those bridges or start to build them. So yeah, drop us a message if you'd like to keep chatting about this.